Hi everybody, thank you for watching. I'm so excited for today's video because it's finally going to be my updated favorite makeup brushes video. I did this about last year, maybe a little over a year ago, and I've been seeing it requested to do an updated video a lot lately, so that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be running through all of my favorite makeup brushes, the ones that I reach for on a daily basis or very consistent basis, and I'm super excited to show you these brushes because I love makeup brushes, I hoard makeup brushes, I buy makeup brushes, like I have an obsession with makeup brushes. So I'm so excited to show you my favorite ones. I think I have about 30 brushes here, so it's probably going to be a longer video, but I really wanted to show you all of the brushes that I love, what I use them for. Everything will be linked down below. Just to let you know, there's a lot of Sigma in here and a lot of Morphe in here. Those are my two favorite companies for makeup brushes, so you will be seeing a lot of those in this video. So just wanted to give you a heads up on there. But other than that, if you would like to see my favorite makeup brushes currently, why don't we go ahead and get started. Start off with the face, and we're gonna start off with my foundation brushes. I have 4 different brushes here that I absolutely love. To kick it off with, we have the Sigma Flat Kabuki. This is the F80. This is just one of those classic brushes that I feel like so many people talk about, so many people rave about, so many people own, so many put it in favorites videos, and it's for a very good reason. It just is a freaking solid foundation brush. It just really is. I actually just got this brush. It is my newest one. I had planned on filming this video last weekend, and I washed all the brushes that I was going to talk about, and then I ended up not filming, and then I've used the brushes again, so quite a few of them are going to be dirty because they're my favorite brushes and I use them. But I just got this one and I haven't even touched it yet, so it's nice and new and clean. For the regular F80 Kabuki, it is $25. I know that can seem expensive for Sigma brushes, but all of them do have at least a 2-year warranty on them. If anything is to go wrong with your brush in the 2 years, you just contact Sigma and then you do have the warranty, which I think is awesome. And Sigma, to me, you are going to see a lot of Sigma in this video. I started buying from Sigma Beauty and I started buying their brushes before I even had my channel, and I continually purchase for them because they are some of the highest quality brushes that I own. That they are more on the pricier side compared to some other brands, but they are worth the quality, and they are still not the price of some of the real higher end brands, and I think their quality matches those. They are amazing quality. I have yet to throw out a Sigma brush. I have yet to throw out a Sigma brush, which is crazy. I've had to throw out other brands' brushes before, even after just a few uses. You wash them and they fall apart and it's not good. That is not the way with Sigma brushes, so that is super impressive. But the F80 is just an absolute classic. Also for Sigma Beauty, I am an affiliate with them, so I do have an affiliate code. It's just Samantha. It gets you 10% off your purchase. So if you're ever going to purchase from Sigma Beauty and you want to save some money, if you do use my code, I thank you so much because it is an affiliate code, which means I get a small portion of the sales, which then goes back to my channel. So I thank you very much if you do use that. I will have that down below as well with all of these links in case you're interested in any of the brushes. But the first one for foundation that I want to recommend is the F80. The next one that I have, also from Sigma, this is one of their newer brushes, and I am obsessed with it. This is the 3D HD Max Kabuki. This brush is part of the new dimensional brush line that Sigma has come out with, and they are super, super unique brushes. If you can see how the brushes, this has become, look how dirty this is. I just washed this, but look how dirty this is. I used it today. I can't help it. I love this brush so much. I love all of the different contours it has because you can really get to any part of your face. I just love the way it is applying foundation. This is a new brush to Sigma. It is $27 for the 3D HD Max Kabuki, but I highly recommend it. I am actually placing an order with Sigma soon, and I'm seriously considering already buying a backup so I don't have to keep washing this one like every other day because I'm using it so much. So the 3D HD Max Kabuki is a new favorite and I highly recommend. So before the 3D HD Max Kabuki came out, the one that I was loving from Sigma, and I still do love, is the just regular old 3D HD Kabuki brush. So it's really similar to the last brush that I showed you. It's just a little bit smaller in scale and has more of a defined style. So you just have the 2 slopes here and then the kind of sharp contour right here. I like these brushes. I mean, they're good for foundation. They're even good for blending out. Like if you do cream contour, you can even take this side and come down your nose if you cream contour there. They're just really nice multifunctional brushes. And like I said, this one was one I was reaching for so much before the new bigger guy came out, and now I'm kind of finding myself reaching for that one a little bit more, but I still do really like the 3D HD Kabuki. And before I got this brush, I mean, I've been planning this video for a while. Before I got that brush, which was very recently, this one was on my list, so I still did want to mention it. So the 3D HD Kabuki is going to be $25, and I think it is a fantastic foundation brush. And finally, a foundation brush that I really love from Morphe is the M439. This is a fantastic foundation brush. It's a Big Daddy, which I do love. My big fat makeup brushes, I just can't help it. I had no complaints with my M439, and I have recommended it several times. I believe it was probably mentioned in my last favorite brushes video. I like this one. I haven't had any problems with like the shedding or the bristles falling apart, even though I've owned this for a very long time. I think this was one of my first Morphe brushes purchases, brush-wise, from them. I haven't had any problems with it when I was cleaning it. It goes back to the shape right away. It's a really dense brush too, so I think it's really good for foundation. Only $13.99, which I don't think is a bad price for a foundation brush. The Morphe M439. If you're looking for a little bit more affordable option for a foundation brush, I would say check this one out. Moving on to a couple brushes that I absolutely love for concealer. I have two different brushes here. One is actually from Sephora, and I mentioned this recently in my 10 products I think you need in your Sephora cart. I mentioned this. A lot of you guys said that you already had it and you loved it, or that you were planning on picking it up, which made me really excited because I love this brush, and I have owned this brush for at least 3 years, if not more. It was one of my first purchases that I made for myself. I had started my YouTube channel already, and everybody would always talk about how you need a good brush to blend your concealer in. So I went to Sephora and I picked out the brush that said Airbrush Concealer. I was like, that sounds like what people are telling me that I need, and I bought it, and I have no regrets. It was $24, which is pricey, and especially when I was such a newbie and had no idea what I was doing, to spend $24 on a brush, like, that was a big deal to me. And so for it to be just a phenomenal brush excites me so much. So this is what it looks like, and I'm not kidding you guys when I tell you I use this brush almost every single day. I use it to blend out my concealer under my eyes, anywhere on my face. I use it to put eyelid primer on. I use it to put concealer on my eyes. I just use this brush every single day that I'm using makeup, and it's one of my absolute favorites. $24 I know does sound expensive, but seriously, I've had this brush, like I said, for at least 3 years, if not more, and I have had no issues with it. I have washed it over and over again, and nothing's wrong with the bristles. Nothing is wrong with the brush. The Sephora 57 brush, if you're looking for a good concealer brush, a fantastic concealer brush, I suggest this one. This one I have is from Sigma. This is the F79 Concealer Blend Kabuki. I really love this brush because of the shape. So you can see that it's a bit bigger. Typically what I do, if I have days like today where I'm doing a pretty natural eye look, I will do my face first instead of my eyes. So I'll do my primer, I'll do my foundation, and then I'll put concealer on, and I will use my concealer as my eyelid primer. For days that I'm using just an eyelid primer, or I'm just putting a little bit of concealer underneath my eyes, I go with the smaller brush. For the days that I'm really going heavy on the concealer and also bringing it up onto my eyelids, I use this because it's a little bit bigger in size, but it's not too big to where it's like getting concealer everywhere, because that happens. It still is very precise on the under eyes, but it's very quick blending time. So if I have a lot of concealer going on around my eyes, this is the brush that I'm reaching for, and I absolutely adore it because it's big enough, but it's also small enough to get the job done. So this is $23 from the Sigma website, and again, this is the F79 What I Love for concealer. When I'm gonna use a setting powder to set the concealer, I'm typically always reaching for this brush. This is from Real Techniques, and it is the Deluxe Concealer Brush. So you can see that it's just pretty small, but it's nice and rounded there. I mean, I use this to set concealer on my under eyes. I'll use it to set my eyelid primer with like a translucent powder. I just reached for this one a ton. I did pick this up in a set actually, but I believe you can get it on its own for $6.99. I'll link it down to Ulta below is where I found it, but I use this one almost every day as well. So this video might get interesting because we just lost power and my internet is not back up, so I don't have any of the prices right now. So that's really fun. But moving on to contour, I have one here from e.l.f. Cosmetics, and this is part of their like Beautifully Precise line, I think is what it's called. It is the 104 brush. This is what it looks like, and you can tell it's just really, really dense and really flat and just really can get into that cheekbone to carve out a contour, and I love it. Absolutely love it. I love the really cool clear design on it. I thought that was really fun for e.l.f. Cosmetics, and it is such a good brush for powder contour. I'll have the price right here, and I also have the prices down in the description box below with the links as well. Sorry, my internet went out. It's a really bad storm outside. This one from e.l.f. is so good. The other one that I have that I use for powder contour quite a bit is from Sigma Beauty. This is the F06 Powder Sweep. So this is what it looks like, and you can see the bristles here are just nice, small, but it is also very dense at the same time, yet not like super dense. Like this one actually has a couple different uses. I use it mostly for my powder contour, but in a pinch I've actually even used it as a highlight brush. I think it works really well for both, but like I said, I do use this mostly for my powder contour, and I just like how small it is to really get in there for a more precise contour if you're into that. But if you are, I would suggest the F06 from Sigma. I reach for this one so often. Next up, I'm going to talk about a face brush. This is from Morphe. This is the E3, and I use this one for a variety of different uses as well. I will use this one as a face powder if I want to set my foundation with a powder. If I just want to wear like a powder foundation, I don't do it a ton, but when I do it, I typically am using the E3. I have used this to put setting powder on my under eyes, and I also use this to kind of blend everything together on my face. If I notice if I have any sort of harsh lines from contour or bronzer or blush or highlight or whatever it is, and I need to make sure everything is nice and blended on my face, I typically am reaching for this brush. It's Morphe, so it was more affordable. It is from their Elite line, which is when it says E3, that's from their Elite line, which is a little bit more expensive. I get so many different uses out of this one, and I reach for it almost every single day as well, so the E3 from Morphe is the good one. And then next up, I'm going to talk about some of my favorite bronzer brushes. This one is from Morphe also. This is the R2. It's such a big daddy of a brush, and I just love it. I believe this one was recommended to me from Jaclyn Hill. She mentioned that she loved this one for bronzer, and seriously, like, it's a bomb bronzer brush. At first when I got it, I was like, oh, I don't know, man, because like, I mean, you put it on your face, it's like, where all are you going to be putting the bronzer? But somehow it still works because it kind of tapers here a little bit, so it's not like a huge like powder brush. It still tapers enough that you are still only placing the bronzer where you want to place it on your face. But if you just need a quick sec to put your bronzer on, you go ahead and grab the R2 because it's going to be super fast. This was part of the rose gold collection. Again, that's what the R stands for, and you can see the handle here has the rose gold type to it. So I want to say this was like in the $15 to $17 range, but I reach for this one so much, and I travel with this one quite a bit. The brush that I love to use for bronzer is from Sigma Beauty. This is the large powder F30 brush. This one is more of like the travel friendly brush with the kind of like turquoise handle here. Now it says it's a powder brush, but I picked it up one day because I needed a bronzer brush and all my other ones were dirty. I grabbed this one, I was like, I can make it work, and it does. It works really good for a bronzer brush. I don't know if you'd be able to see, but it does still kind of have that kind of tapered feeling right here, just like the R2 does. So it's not too big like a traditional powder brush where it could kind of just get stuff everywhere. And if you watch my tutorials on Instagram, you do see this brush quite a bit for my bronzing needs. I want to say I used it today when I was using my bronzer. So I just really like it, and I like how it's kind of smaller and travel friendly as well. So this one is the Sigma F30 that I use for bronzer. This one I want to talk about, I have two different blush brushes here. This one is from Sigma Beauty as well. This is the large angled contour, the F40 brush. This is what this one looks like. I really love these kind of angled brushes for my blush brushes. My other one is an angled brush as well. What it is, but I just reach for this one so consistently. So the Sigma F40 does run for $23. Right now they do have it as a free gift option on the Sigma website. So if you were to purchase from it, you could add in this travel size guy as a free gift, but if you buy the regular regular size of it, it would be $23. The other blush brush that I use very frequently is the Morphe E4. I've had this one for a long time and I've been recommending it for a while. It is very similar in shape to the Sigma one. Like I said, I just kind of prefer these angled brushes for my blush. I'm not sure what it is that attracts me to it, but clearly something does. So this one on the Morphe website is $13.99. I got this as a recommendation from Jaclyn Hill again. She just said it was her favorite blush brush, and I agree, it's one of my absolute favorites as well, and I use it so often. So the Morphe E4, fantastic blush brush, and for a little bit cheaper than the Sigma one if you're looking for a more affordable option. So next up I want to talk about some highlighting brushes. I have two brushes here, and one of them I actually own doubles of. So this is from Luxie Beauty. This is the 522 Tapered Highlight. I used it today and I just really enjoyed this highlighting brush. This is one that I can use for highlights that are just super, super pigmented. Like, do you have those highlights that are almost kind of like, whoa, you're incredibly blinding? You don't need any sort of like scratchy brush to help pick it up. You don't need a really dense brush to help pick it up. You can do a more fluffier brush like the Luxie 522 and it's still going to be incredibly pigmented, incredibly highlighted, and you can kind of go a little bit ham with the bit of a fluffier brush, and that is when I pull out my 522. It's one of my favorites. It's super, super soft. I love the shape of it. Just again, this more kind of like tapered tulip tip, but it does come to a nice tip right here to really get the highlight on, or you can lay it kind of more sideways on your face and just really go to town, whatever it is you want to do. It is a little bit expensive at $24, but I think it's really cute with the pink and the rose gold, and again, I reach for this one so often. Actually, Sigma has the more affordable option for the highlight brush that I love. This is the high cheekbone highlighter, the F03. I have mentioned this in favorites videos. I love this highlight brush. The F03 from Sigma, one of my absolute favorites. For this one all of the time, but this is for one where if you have a highlight where maybe you do need to give it a little bit of help, you really want to pack that highlight onto your brush to get it onto your cheekbones, this is the one that's going to be really good for. It picks up so much highlight, it picks up so much product, but then it places it on your face so well. It doesn't keep any highlight hanging around in the brush. It just applies it so nice. I don't know if I said it, but it was $20 compared to the $24 for the Luxie highlight brush. So those are personally my two favorite highlight brushes and the ones that I'm reaching for the most. And I just love this F03. We have a special bond. Move over into the eye brushes. I'm first going to talk about my favorite blending brushes. So one that I own doubles of is the Sigma E40, and I'm pretty sure I own another one too, a regular chrome. I might have just washed it though. So this is the Sigma E40. I feel like you hear a ton of people talk about this one. This was one of the very first blending brushes that I ever purchased because I heard so many people rave about it, and I absolutely love it. This is a big ol' fluffy crease brush. This is what I come in with when I'm doing like my first transition color, my first crease color. I'm using my Sigma F40 because I think it's absolutely amazing. These are $17 on the Sigma website. If you're looking for a more affordable option, one that I think is a pretty good dupe is the Morphe M441. So this is what this one looks like, and I don't know if you can tell in the camera though, like this is kind of a comparison between the Sigma and Morphe. You can see this one from Morphe is just, the bristles are just kind of going everywhere, where my Sigma one, even though I've had these both for a while and I've washed them several times, none of the bristles are out of place, where the Morphe one is just kind of going everywhere. So that's why I recommend Sigma even at a higher price, because the quality is there. But if you're a beginner, you're a newbie, you want to check out different brushes and see what you're most comfortable with, you can get something that's a little bit more inexpensive and work your way up to those more quality pieces, because this one is only $5.99 from Morphe, but the bristles are kind of going everywhere. But this is a pretty close comparable to the Sigma E40, especially if the Morphe one was a little bit newer and a little bit less washed. I think it'd be super, super comparable. And then the other one from Morphe that I think is pretty comparable to the Sigma E40 is from their Gunmetal line, and this is the G24. So you can see, once again, it's just a fluffy crease brush, and I really do like it. I reach for this one quite a bit as well. This one is only $1 more than the one from the M category, which is kind of like the regular category for Morphe. So this is $6.99. So honestly, if I were to recommend between the M441 and then the G24, I would recommend the G24 over it. These are some of my favorite fluffy blending brushes. Moving on to some more crease brushes that I love. These ones are a little bit more on the precise, dense side, I would say. How many times am I going to say dense in a video for real? I have 3 of these because I love them. This is from Sigma. This is the E25. So you can see that obviously all 3 of these are dirty. I mean, these are brushes that I just use every single day, and it's why it really helps to have multiples and triples of some of these brushes, because I am constantly cleaning them to try to keep them as clean as I can. So it just helps once you start getting 2 and 3 and even more of brushes. It helps so much. But the Sigma E25 is hands down one of my absolute favorite brushes, and I don't know if you can't tell from this, but it just is. It's $16. Again, I have some from the copper line and then one of the regular brushes too, but the E25 is such an amazing brush for any sort of crease work that you are doing. One that I think is pretty comparable from Morphe is the M433. So again, I do think this is pretty comparable to the E25. I'll go ahead and hold up the E25, so you can see there. But once again, you can see from Morphe that it has kind of started to lose its shape. The bristles are starting to kind of go everywhere. But once again, this is only $5.99 in comparison to the $16. I think you're just getting a better quality with the Sigma over the Morphe, but if you want a more affordable option, the M433. So if you're looking for some more crease work, those are my favorite brushes. So a brush set that I want to talk about from Morphe because they have some of my 3 favorite blending brushes in there. This is called the Copper Dreams brush set. It's $39.99 on the Morphe website. These brushes in that collection are just absolute standouts to me. I mentioned this recently in a favorites video, maybe a month or 2 back. In the brush set, you're actually getting 12 different brushes. Most of them are eye brushes, but there are a couple face brushes as well. And then you also get like a rose gold brush holder. If you watched my makeup that I travel with, I mentioned my brushes too, and I actually bring along that case with me when I travel. So you get all of that for $40, which I don't think is a bad price. But these 3 brushes are absolute standouts to me, and I use them almost daily. You can't buy them individually, which sucks. Like, they don't have an individual name or anything on them. You can just get them in that set, but they are all so good. So if you're interested in picking up a brush set for only $40 and getting 3 fantastic brushes here, I think they are all amazing for the crease, for blending. I really enjoyed these brushes. Next up, I have more brushes that I love for the crease. Aries just passed out if you heard that. I have 2 of these. This is the Sigma E45, the small tapered blending. I actually used this today to apply a darker color, really kind of precisely in my crease and then on the outer V as well. I also used it to kind of like smudge this liner look out. I just love this brush. When I first got it, I was like, I don't know, it's kind of like firm and a little bit stiff. Like, I don't know if I will love it, but if you do crease work or like cut creases, anything like that, I think the E45 is really going to come in handy. It is $16 from Sigma Beauty and one of my faves. Next, I have a couple of brushes that I like to pack eyeshadows onto the lid. These are both from Sigma. One is the E54 and then one is the E55. They're really similar to one another. The E54 is just, or the E55, which is right here, it's just a little bit smaller and a little bit more of like a domed shape. So this is what, if I am doing a cut crease, which I don't do very often, or if I'm doing something where I really want to make sure the shadow is not going above my crease, like if I'm using glitter or anything like that, this is typically what I use to just pat it onto my eyelid. If I'm a little bit more lackadaisical, I will go for the E54. I believe these are both $16, but they are what I use as my flat shader brushes very frequently. Another brush that I really like to pack shadows onto the lid, this is from Morphe. It's from the Gunmetal line, and this is the G20. So you can see how small it is, and this is a synthetic brush, which is really good for like foiled shadows, even glitter, things like that. I will tend to use more synthetic brushes for that, and that is exactly what the G20 is. I really do need another one of this guy because I feel like I'm cleaning it constantly. It's only $4.99 though, so totally the next time I place an order from Morphe, I should just pick up another one of the G20. This is a brush that it might not seem super exciting, but it's something that I use on almost a daily basis, so I want to mention it. It's from Sigma Beauty. It's the E62 Cut Crease. So this is what this one looks like. So you can definitely use it for the function that it says, to cut the crease with like a concealer. But what I use it a lot for too is to place an eyeshadow primer onto my lid. So that might not seem like super sexy or a cool way to use a brush, but it's something I do almost every single day, and something that probably a lot of you do as well. You use an eyelid primer, and this is the brush that I typically reach for, the E62. It's $17, so it's a bit pricey for the brush if you're only going to use it for those reasons. But if you're someone who loves to do a cut crease, this is a really good brush for it. All right, we are nearing the end. I only have 3 more brushes left, and these are kind of my more precise brushes. So this one is from Morphe. This is the G18. So that is what that one looks like. This is called the Round Crease, and it is $5.99. To me, it's kind of similar to a pencil brush, but a little bit bigger. I like to use this one, like what I used it for the other day was when I was using the Anastasia Sculpture. I use it to just kind of pat a V motion in the outer V. If I'm using any kind of like darker colors that I really want to use to darken up my outer V, I use this because it is super precise, but it's still big enough that I can get the job done without me having to take forever to sit there and do it. I can also blend out lower lash shadows with it. I can use it to smudge like a shadow as a liner on the top of my eyes. It has a lot of different functions, so the G18, I use this one quite a bit. Next up, the final two brushes are both from Morphe, and I've talked about these and recommended these so much. One is the E18. If you watch my Instagram tutorials, you see me use this constantly. This is what I use for a brow bone highlight and also an inner corner highlight. I love this brush. I can't live without it. I can't travel without it. This is what I use for that function. I don't know if I ever use any other brushes for a brow bone inner corner highlight. It's always the E18, and it's only $5.99. The final brush that I want to recommend from Morphe is the E36. So this one is just a teeny tiny little baby brush. This is $4.99. It's called the Detail Crease Brush. This is my favorite brush for lower lash shadows. My favorite. I use this one all of the time for that reason, and I just love this brush. It's like another one that I feel like I can't live without because I use it for my lower lash line so much. There's obviously a ton of different brushes that you can use for these more kind of precise features, but these are just my favorites, the ones that I travel with, the ones that I always have to use. So the Morphe E36 is the final brush that I want to recommend to you in my favorite makeup brushes video. We did it. Alright guys, so that's going to be everything for my favorite makeup brushes. I really hope that you guys found this video helpful or useful in some way. Again, all of the links and all of the prices will be in the description box as well. I hope that you enjoyed seeing all of my favorite brushes and kind of the reasons why I use them. I sincerely hope that you found this video helpful. Thank you to everyone who has been requesting it. I'm so glad to finally get an updated video out there. Let me know in the comments down below if any of the brushes that I mentioned are some of your favorites as well, or what is your favorite brush that I didn't mention that you want me to check out. Let me know because I absolutely love makeup brushes. I love to buy them. I love to hoard them. Pretty soon I'm going to have to do a makeup brush declutter, and that's going to be a sad day. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. I hope that you will also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll catch you guys real soon in my next one. Bye!